Hello everyone. Welcome back on our Purposive Communication class. We are now on Chapter 2, Communication and Globalization. In order to be globally competitive, schools should help students to think more globally. Moreover, cultural awareness and understanding global issues should also be valued. Before we start, let us take a look at this. At the end of this chapter, you should be able to explain how cultural and global issues affect communication, appreciate the impact of communication on society and the world, determine culturally appropriate terms, expression, and images, and adopt cultural and intercultural awareness and sensitivity in communicating ideas. So let us begin. Because of technology, our world has transformed into a global village. Communication becomes faster, and in a split of a second, an event is shared to the entire world through the use of social media. Today, individuals have to understand the dynamics of long distance collaboration, the outcome of nonverbal cues in different cultures, as well as the use of technology in connecting people. Culture is perceived as the summation of values, beliefs, and behaviors from a group of individuals having a shared history of verbal and nonverbal communication. On the one hand, globalization may be seen as an interconnectedness of economic relationships, political units, as well as digital networks. Such technology and other social networks have transformed the economic and social relationships, breaking cultural barriers. Hence, cultural and civic discourse will mold information and communication technologies. Thus, communication and globalization is seen as the interaction and integration among people and culture and environment, as well as political system to achieve the physical well-being of societies around the world. There are five assumptions that take place during intercultural communication. For assumption number one, messages relayed are not usually the messages received. Assumption number two, a nonverbal act between individuals. Assumption number three, involvement of style in communication among speakers. Assumption number four, globe group phenomenon experienced and shared by individuals. And assumption number five, a circuitous of adaptation and stress. Let's talk about it one by one. Assumption number one, messages relayed are not usually the messages received. When two speakers from different cultures interact, their values, emotions, perceptions, and behaviors greatly affect the interpretation of their messages. This means that when one has to interpret, it is based on his understanding. Example, the use of our interpreter during the Miss Universe pageant. Assumption number two, a nonverbal act between individuals. Different sensory is shared by different cultures. That means to say, our gestures might convey different meaning when it is done with different cultures. Assumption number three, involvement of style in communication among speakers. This means that each speaker has his or her unique communication style, a way in which they interact and exchange information with others. Assumption number 4. Group phenomenon experienced and shared by individuals. We have a tendency to see others not as individual with unique thoughts, ideas, and goals, but rather as someone where he or she is affiliated. We do not see the person, we see the groups to which that person belongs. And when this happens, miscommunication cannot be avoided. Assumption number 5. A circuitous of adaptation and stress. It is important to be flexible and adopt a communication style to be able to make the other individual comfortable. On cultural context. When we speak of cultural context, this means that people learn to arrange their ideas, thoughts, emotions, and even their behavior according to the stimulus of the environment. Thus, culture is not innate even if people are born into it, since culture is always learned. Culture teaches individuals to think and behave. Therefore, a kind of interaction among people is depicted in various circumstances. This means that cultures of people are not static, but rather dynamic. There is no such thing as pure individualistic or collectivistic culture. Culture may be low and high, which demonstrates the degree of how a person affiliates the self. When we speak of individualism, this means to say that individualistic culture focus on individual goals. This means that it is unique. This means that there is a disconnected um, from the in-groups such as the family and ironically belong to several groups, but their stay is short-lived. On the one hand, when we speak of collectivism, it is the assumption that groups blend well by serving in group, such as family, neighbor, or occupational groups. Since this assumption group blends well, this means that they are identified by their membership. This also means that they value social reciprocity, obligation, dependence, and obedience. There are different types of cultural orientation: horizontal individualism, vertical individualism, horizontal collectivism, and vertical collectivism. When we speak of horizontal individualism, this means to say that um, it is equal in status with others. That means to say that the self is independent and the same as the self of others, while vertical individualism looks at self as not equal with others, but different. Therefore, inequality is expected. Horizontal collectivism notes the self as a member of a group sharing the same values and interests. That means to say that the self is merged with the numbers or with the members of um, the the members where he or she is belong. When we speak of vertical collectivism, believes that the self is an integral part of the group even if the members are different from the others. This means to say that the member in one group, no, as different from others. So those are the two types of cultural orientation. To summarize, we can say that communication and globalization creates virtual connection and the availability of information, cultural and social awareness in speech and body language, as well as differences in virtual aspects, in various aspects. With that, thank you very much. I hope you learned something today.